here at the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, we are celebrating and honoring and recognizing 40 years of service to the community, not only in Franklin County, but across our 20 county footprint. You know, we opened our doors in February of 1980, and that first year, we distributed about 200,000 pounds of food in that very first year. And in January of 2020, we, 40 years later, introduced a refresh brand, trying to change the look so that we could change the conversation about hunger in our community and about those who seek our food assistance. You know, we knew that in looking at that refresh brand, that food banking alone could not end hunger. We could not food bank our way out of hunger, and that our neighbors come to us in a number of ways. They may come to us through their personal primary care physician with a food prescription because they have chronic health issues, and they may need to get a food prescription and get that food prescription filled at one of our sites. They may come to us because they're a resident and live on the hilltop, and they want to learn about vertical growing and smart farming. And they may want to visit our farm on the hilltop to learn more about that. They may come to us through their children, through our kids cafe, through our Mid-Ohio kitchen. We distribute meals to our kiddos in after school sites. They may come to us through our 650 partner agencies across 20 counties who may want to seek food through a partner agency, a food pantry, an after school site, a soup kitchen, a shelter. Or they may come to us because they need wraparound services like our Mid-Ohio Market at Columbus State, and students there who go to Columbus State trying to get their degree may need other assistance. And if we can take food off the table for them, give them access to food, they can concentrate on getting their education. Our new brand with Mid-Ohio Food Collective is all about and anchored in smart and fresh. We believe that food is health, and that food can be an important food-based healthcare solution. We know it's high value, we know it's low cost healthcare, that if people can just access nutritious, healthy food, that will go a long way in improving health outcomes. 65% of the food we distribute now here at Mid-Ohio Foodbank is fresh food, meaning dairy, fruit, vegetables, bread, meat. We're also anchored in SMART, that data insights is informing our work. We're working on new tools that are going to bring the customer closer to our service and how they can access food. We know through Fresh Track, which will be a mobile app, that we will learn more about our customers so that we can better serve them. That in order to be smart, we know that we have to directly understand what our customers are dealing with in order to provide the service we need. We know poverty is not easy to escape, and with a data-driven community response, we can meet our hungry neighbors where they are, offering pathways for when just life happens, a car breaks down, a healthcare emergency, someone loses their job. Life happens, and we want to be there for our customers. And we know hunger goes beyond the dinner plate, that it's finding affordable housing, it's accessing healthcare, it's for figuring out how to earn a decent wage, a livable wage that allows you to pay for rent, allows you to pay childcare, allows you to put food on the table. And we know that hunger doesn't work in isolation, and neither will we. We believe that by meeting the customers where they are and addressing the whole person, that we can have a role, an important role in getting people that all the help that they need to really thrive. So to that end, we have created what we are calling now Mid-Ohio Food Collective. And that is the umbrella for 5 major assets. And we're going to talk about those assets today and go deep with what they do, how they deliver the service, where the services are delivered. And you're going to hear from the experts on our team who manage these day in and day out. And first, under the Mid-Ohio Food Collective is Mid-Ohio Foodbank. That really is the anchor asset to the Mid-Ohio Food Collective. It's our day-to-day work. It's our logistics, getting food from point A to point B. Our Mid-Ohio farm on the hilltop. You're going to hear much more about that today and what that smart farming really means to the community. Mid-Ohio Farmacy, again, directly connecting food and health, having an impact on health outcomes will really depend on a person and a patient's ability to thrive. Our Mid-Ohio kitchens who are preparing nutritious food for kids and for our homeless community. We're going to hear more about what Mid-Ohio Food Collective's response has been during COVID. And part of that response has been to feed the homeless community in Columbus. And you'll hear more about our Mid-Ohio markets. This is a new concept that is not only allows people that grocery store experience to access no-cost food, but it also does provide those wraparound services. So we are talking about a fresh brand with a smart solution to deliver the right food to the right place at the right time. And obviously there are countless pathways in and out of hunger. And as long as we continue to learn and continue to get smarter about our customer, it informs that work. Malik?
Absolutely. Hello, my name is Malik Perkins. I work with Marilyn on the marketing team as the public relations manager. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing here at Mid-Ohio Food Collective as far as our response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So one of the main things we've been seeing here from this pandemic is that there is a growing need for help across our coverage areas. Our total food distribution has increased by more than 25% across our 20 county footprint, with more than 600,000 visits to our partner agencies. And this is a significant increase to what we usually see, because what we're seeing now is that 25% or more than 34,000 of our customers who are coming to us for the very first time. This is indicating that COVID-19 has been, like Marilyn talked about earlier, this is one of those situations where life has happened and people who have never needed to reach out to us, who have never needed to go to a food pantry, suddenly found themselves in need. And in order to meet this need, through our Mid-Ohio kitchens, our team has prepared and distributed more than 139,000 meals for some of our neighbors who are battling homelessness. We actually prepare those meals here on site. Our Mid-Ohio kitchen is indicated inside the food bank facility, which you'll be hearing more about from our team later. But we're able to actually prepare those meals here on site. And then with the help of the National Guard, we're able to distribute those meals out to the community. And at the beginning of this pandemic, we were actually the Ohio National Guard. We had 100 soldiers with us here on site, helping us distribute food, prepare food, and doing other things that we need to operate to meet this great need. But we do know now that eventually the Ohio National Guard soldiers will no longer be with us. So what we're looking to do now is to bring back those volunteers that we really need in order to keep on meeting this increase in demand for food that we're seeing across our community. Some of our volunteers have began to come back and go back to some of their volunteer shifts, but we know that we're going to need a lot of volunteer hours and a lot of people to just really help us continue to serve the community as we continue to go through this pandemic. And that about wraps up what we have here for our presentation. But I did want to touch on a couple of other things that we've been seeing here throughout this pandemic and some of the changes that we have had to make in our operations. We have a food pantry here on site. We call it our Kroger Community Food Pantry. And the way that it was originally set up is it was set up actually as a grocery store-like experience where people were able to walk in there, go through the aisles and shop and grab the items that they need. Since the beginning of the pandemic back in March, what we've had to do is we have had to actually switch and shift to a drive-through, no-touch model. So essentially what we do now is our customers come and line up at our pantry in their vehicles, and we're actually, with the help of the National Guard and our other volunteers, we are able to register them right at their vehicles so that they don't have to get out their car, and we're able to deliver a food box directly to the trunk of their car. And this really helps protect them because it helps us better practice social distancing. And we've also, with the help of the National Guard, been able to serve significantly more people than we did in our regular model, which is crucial because we have so many more people now coming to us in need. Some other things we've done because of COVID-19 is internally, a lot of our team is now working off-site. Of course, that is to reduce the chances of transmission. We've stepped up our cleaning efforts here at the food bank as well, just to ensure that things are as clean as possible. We've added sanitized stations throughout the building. There are certain doors that we leave open throughout the building as well, just to continue to just really promote that healthy work environment that we want to have as we're here serving people and helping people. And a number of our partner agencies have actually switched to this drive-through model as well. And one of the things that we're really proud of is that even though we are going through this pandemic, that 95% of our partner agencies have been able to remain open during this time. And that is crucial when we're seeing the increases in need that we have been experiencing during this time. So one of our main things we want people to know is that, you know, with Mid-Ohio Food Collective, we understand that there are people who are in need and who are coming for the first time. There are people who may not have been familiar with, you know, how the food bank operates or familiar with the steps that go into getting food at a food pantry. But we want them to know that we are here with them and for them throughout this pandemic. There's no shame or no stigma attached to being in need of food, especially now with everything that's going on. And we just want them to know that you can come to us, come to a partner, and we will get you the help you need and the services you need. Also, we want people to know that the community has been amazing during this time with just their generosity. The community's generosity has also been key in enabling us to be able to serve as many people as we've been serving. Just really fantastic as far as donations and helping us be able to acquire food, helping us being able to distribute food, and just really just being instrumental in those efforts. So that pretty much wraps up what I have today as far as the Mid-Ohio Food Collective. Right now, Marilyn, I have some questions that have come in that some people would like to have some answers to. And one of the first questions I got here is Mid-Ohio Food Collective changing the name of Mid-Ohio Food Bank?
Yeah, Malik, thank you. Let me try to take that one. No, we are not changing the name of Mid-Ohio Food Bank. What we are doing is that we knew that Mid-Ohio Food Bank alone could not hold all this new work that is evolving as our way of meeting the customers because they are coming to us in so many different ways. So we understand that Mid-Ohio Food Bank is the major asset of the Mid-Ohio Food Collective. It is where we get food in and out. It is where we work with our 650 partners across our 20 county footprints. It is fundamental and core to the Mid-Ohio Food Collective's work. These other assets through Mid-Ohio Kitchen, Mid-Ohio Markets, Mid-Ohio Farm on the Hilltop, Mid-Ohio Farmacy, those are other assets that we can bring forth to talk to the customers, meet the customers right where they are so that they can come to us for food assistance in one of those other ways.
Okay. And another question I have in here, Marilyn, is earlier in the presentation, you talked about how you cannot food bank your way out of hunger. What are some of the other things that you're doing to address hunger for people?
Well, we, again, our folks, our experts, our teammates who are on today, they will definitely go into details about all of that, but they will talk about how we're connecting customers with food prescriptions. They will talk about how we're teaching neighborhoods and residents about vertical growing and how they can grow their own vegetables. They will talk about how we partner with schools and partner with other nonprofits and even with the business community to get food access, nutritious food access to those who need it. So there are a number of ways. We honestly believe that, yes, we can end hunger. And our goal, we know it's a work in progress. We know that there are some people who will always be at our food pantries getting food, a senior citizen who is low income. We will always be serving that person, but our North Star, our vision is healthier, hunger-free communities, and we will work in a number of ways to reach that goal.
And those were the only couple of questions that I had come in.
I see one more question, Malik.
Oh, sure. Mm-hmm.
One is about, where can people access food if they need help? So what we want to encourage people to do is to go to our website, midohiofoodbank.org/get assistance. They can also go to Fresh Track, that's spelled FRESHTRAK.com. That will give you additional information on how you sign up and how you can learn where all the food pantries are, where all the sites are that you can access nutritious food. We have over 300 food pantries right here in Franklin County and about 650 to 680 across our 20 county footprint. So there are a number of sites where people can go. And as Malik said, these are confusing and unsettling times. There is no judgment. People have lost their jobs. Seniors are displaced. There are a lot of issues right now that people are dealing with, and if you need food, we want you to come to one of our sites to access that food.
Mm-hmm. I have one more, Marilyn. They said, what are the safety protocols for people coming in to volunteer?
Thank you so much for that question. Mid-Ohio Food Collective, we have depended on volunteers all 40 years that we've been in existence. Without volunteers, quite honestly, we could not do the work that we do. Unfortunately, with COVID, that volunteer base has been completely decimated. So what we want to do is that we are starting to call volunteers back in small groups. Every volunteer, every person who enters Mid-Ohio Foodbank facility or any of our sites, they are temp checked. They are required to wear masks. We have sanitizing stations, gloves. that folks can wear while they are volunteering. And we're encouraging people to volunteer in their pods, you know, whether it's a family, whether it's you socialize with 2 or 3 neighbors, but whatever that pod is, we are maintaining that 6-foot social distancing. So if you come in with your small group, that small group will have a certain job, a certain volunteer job to do at the food bank. But safety is our absolute priority. And we are going to work hard to try to bring volunteers back, and we know we can keep them safe.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Marilyn, for helping us shed some more light and further explain what we're doing here at Mid-Ohio Food Collective. In a few minutes here, we'll be hearing more about our anchor asset, Mid-Ohio Foodbank, and that presentation will feature our VP of Operations, David Daniel, as well as our procurement manager, Katie Lyman.
There you are, Dave.
Hey, good morning. So this morning, again, I want to welcome everybody. There's Katie. I want to welcome everybody for joining us today. And today, I'd like to walk through a little bit about, I'm going to certainly introduce myself, but I want to talk about the building itself, some of the changes that we've made over the years as we've tried to address many of the issues associated with fresh food and its association with good health. I want to talk about how we get food in various donations, where it's coming from. We can't talk about the Mid-Ohio Foodbank without talking a little bit about Feeding America, which is our trade association that gives us a lot of guidance and leadership and best practices. And then I'm going to turn it over to Katie Lyman, our procurement manager, who can talk about some of the wonderful things she does to get food from various sources. So as I said, my name's Dave Daniel. I'm Senior Vice President of Operations. In addition to food procurement, I deal with volunteer operations, as you've heard about our need to help conduct the work that we do here, and our overall facilities group. So I've been a paid employee of the Mid-Ohio Food Bank for the last couple of years. I served with Giant Eagle for 40 years. I was a senior vice president of operations when I retired, continued to work with the food bank, and an opportunity came to take over food sourcing, and I got back into the working environment. But it's something that I feel like my entire career has been about feeding people, some that could do it without much assistance, and others that actually need that assistance. So it was a wonderful fit, and I really enjoy what I do. So as I mentioned, Feeding America, the overarching trade association, helps us in lots of different ways. It helps us kind of collaborate. We share a lot of great insights. They work directly with many of the large manufacturers to help source food directly for all of us. And there are 200 food banks across the country that are members of Feeding America. And they help us, as I said, equitably acquire and distribute food. They are, when we talk about the food banking world within Feeding America, everything is about pounds. We talk about distribution in pounds and how we acquire things and so forth. So when we look at how we keep score, we're in the top 15 as far as total volume of food that we are able to acquire and distribute. Last year, it was over 74 million pounds, which was a significant increase over prior years. But one of the things that we're really, really proud of, and I think really set us apart in many cases, is our commitment to fresh food. Right now, well over 50% of what we distribute, I think it's closing in on 60 or 65 these days, is fresh food. Many people have a vision of what a food bank might be, and it's usually in an old, dingy part of town, and we're distributing dented cans and crushed boxes and 50-pound sacks of flour and beans and so forth. And what we really want to do is give people access to fresh and healthy food. So we've made, you'll see, I'm going to show you some pictures of our layout. We really modified our facility over the years to enable fresh foods. So we've been around, as Marilyn mentioned, for almost 40 years. Our original facility was over on Mound Street. In 2009, you can see we moved into this, our current facility on Brookham Drive. There's a great shot there of our atrium as you come in. And one of the visions we had is we want people to really know we're in the food business. So when you walk in our doors, you'll get to see what amounts to about 5 million pounds of food on any given day. So the facility used to be was a Simmons mattress factory, and we've converted. It's a little over 200,000 square feet. You can see there. We converted it into kind of our office operation, and you've heard about a pantry that we operate here on site. Our commitment to sustainability, it is LEED certified gold. It happened to be the first food bank in the U.S. That met that LEED certification, which means we are energy efficient. We've been built by local our products, the materials to build a building were all acquired locally within a close distance, so that we had a good carbon footprint on it. And we take advantage of all of these energy efficient materials, as well as systems to kind of maintain our low cost, but also as Matt's concerned about making sure that we leave the earth in a better place than we started with. So as I said, over 5 million pounds. You can see in the layout there in the upper right-hand corner where all that green, that's our freezer space and cooler space. We've actually, as I said, had to increase the size of our cooler space 3 times now since we actually built the facility in 2009 to meet the capacity, meet the needs of our increased distribution of produce and other fresh foods. The Feeding America also provides a trade area. They help us they assign us a service area. There are 12 food banks across the state of Ohio. We operate, and you can see the counties that represent our service area. What Feeding America does is they kind of outline that for us. And as you can see, there's 20 counties there. You see our brand new logo sitting right in the middle of Franklin County. Franklin County represents about half of the population that we serve. So when we look at those who are eligible to come to a food bank, there's requirements for certain income levels and so forth. So those that are within 200% of the poverty level are eligible to come to any one of the 680 partner agencies within those 20 counties. So that's about, right now, I think it's well over 550,000 individuals in the state of Ohio. And that number, I'm certainly has been increased in light of the current pandemic. This was before we included all those that may have lost their jobs in the industries that have been directly affected by many of the rules. So many of these agencies are faith-based. I think the number is well over 85%. And they operate with a volunteer basis. Generally there's very few that have paid staff. So they are, as we had mentioned earlier, we can't do without volunteers. We've been very fortunate that, as Malik had referenced, over 95% of them have been able to stay open during the pandemic, which is really a tribute to the commitment of their volunteer base and those that are operating these facilities to make sure that they're still there for those who need them. So one of the other things on our, what I'd like to talk about with respect to this service area is that the way that Feeding America kind of sections that off is any of those folks that might be making donations, and you can see the list of all the great folks that support us. Anybody that sits inside your territory, you get the right of first refusal. And what's wonderful is that we're very fortunate that inside our trade area, we've got two Walmart fresh distribution centers. We've got Sam's dry goods facility. Target has both a fresh and a dry facility that they're making contributions on a weekly basis. Kroger, a fine partner, has got a distribution center in Delaware. Big Lots, who has always been a big supporter of the Mid-Ohio Foodbank, has got their distribution center. One of the fastest growing donors these days is Amazon. Amazon has just opened their 5th distribution center, and they're supporting us. Staples, even though many folks think of them as really just an office provider, there's certain foods and other products that they have available that they deliver and or that they donate to us on a very frequent basis. And now the dollar stores, Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and Family Dollar, have all begun participating in direct donation programs, and we've got facilities within our trade area, as I said, that are actually making those products available to us. And I do want to mention that all of these other great fine retailers, the mass merchants and supermarkets, are really terrific partners. I'd say generally, when you drive up and down any street in our area, about 95% of those businesses are already working with us in one capacity or the other. So this is one of the ways that we acquire foods. The way that we get them out to our partners, these 680 agencies, is we have an electronic ordering system. As product comes into our facility, we are able to make it available to them via what we refer to as a software system called eHarvest. So agencies can, and there's a little on the left side of the screen there, you can see kind of a current shopping list, where we got various canned goods, and we've got some healthcare or personal care items. We've got some juices, we've got some proteins available that they can order what they need. And the way that our distribution system is set up, all of those items are in what you would refer to as a pull system. They can order what they need. We are graced with some wonderful technology that have been referred to agency track, and which gives us an idea of how many customers we're serving at each one of these agencies. So the fresh items, the produce, certain other dairy products, are on a push method. So what we do is they don't order those products. We take the data about how many folks they're serving. We build in a little bit of a safety cushion to make sure that we have a little more than their most recent 6 weeks average or so. So we send them this product directly. And this way, we can manage our fresh products if we need to kind of move things through. Not sometimes some of the produce we get, while it is very wholesome and fresh, it may not have as many days shelf life as you would get normally in a supermarket, because they're donating to us what they can't sell in some cases. So we push that out through what we call right sizing. And this enables us to, again, get the right units of product to these agencies so that everybody gets a little bit of what we have in that sense. You'll hear a term called unit of distribution. This is one of the methods that we've kind of built into this right sizing message to say that, hey, every family is going to get a 3-pound bag of carrots if carrots are in stock, or every family is going to get a 10-pound bag of potatoes. And this is you'll meet Katie in a little bit. Yeah, this helps Katie from an ordering standpoint, because she in some cases buys these products directly from distributors. Other times they're coming from other venues that are distributing it to us, whether it be government agencies, or, as I said, we've got all these great distribution centers right here in our service area that are providing this product to us. And then about 50% of our agencies come directly to the Mid-Ohio Foodbank to pick up the product. The remaining folks we actually ship on our fleet. We've got about 22 different vehicles of various sizes, all that have refrigeration that can help us distribute those. We also do a terrific program. I don't have a slide that backs it up, but I showed you all those retailers, the Giant Eagles, the Trader Joe's, and so forth. We have well over 100 agencies that have volunteers, and they have the resources to go directly to these supermarkets and these wholesalers and these other manufacturers and pick up product on a daily basis. This way, it kind of cuts the middleman out. Many times, this way it doesn't have to come to us. It can go, as we say, it can be on somebody's plate that afternoon or that evening. But as I said, there's well over 100 agencies that are working with 400 different donors that they're able to pick up this product directly at their store. They are all food safe trained, so they understand how to identify any food risks. They temperature check the product when they pick it up. They have what we refer to as passive temperature control. So they have what we call thermal blankets. So if they're getting a load of frozen product or a load of refrigerated product and they're picking it up in an SUV or in a small station wagon or something, they can cover this product up. And they've got 20 minutes to a half an hour to get that back to their facility so that they can get it into refrigeration and be able to serve it safely. So we follow up, we provide the training, and we do follow up to ensure that they've got members of their staff that are all food safe certified using ServSafe is the technology we teach and train them with. And this way we can ensure that we're doing things in a fashion that keeps everyone safe along the way. Do we have the shots with the, one of the other ways that we acquire food is through reclamation. You hear the term reclaim or rec. Last year, we had over 13,000 volunteers donate well over 70,000 hours. And one of the most popular methods is sorting recreation. We got a couple of reclamation. So we got some pictures in there of folks actively sorting food, checking dates, inspecting cans to ensure that the seams aren't bulging or that there isn't any food risk associated. Oftentimes you'll get a dented box of cereal, but they check to ensure that the inside compartment has not been at all affected, so that again, we're trying to look out for food safety. We want to respect all of those customers that come to us in need, and we want to make sure that we're giving them safe and wholesome products. This also enables us to do sorting and tracking for recall purposes. So we have, as they check and put these products into various boxes, there's well over 30, I think it's 32 different commodities that they separate this product in. So if we receive a recall, like a supermarket does on a particular product, we have the ability to stop the immediate stop of distribution. And then we'll use our volunteer staff to pull that product and off our shelves and or off of our warehouse and look through the boxes to ensure that none of those recalled products ever leave our building. Or in the event that they have, we have the ability to reach out to our agency partners to allow them to communicate, hey, if anybody picked up a certain product that's been recently recalled, they've got that information at the at their point of, we use the term point of sale, but it's right there in their building to let them know, hey, make sure you bring it back or you destroy it, depending on whatever the vendor or manufacturer tells us to do with the product. So I did want to give my last shot with respect to our trucks. I'll show you that slide one more time. As I mentioned, we offer both CDL and non-CDL drivers. So we've got folks that are driving vans that are all, again, as I said, everything has refrigeration capabilities so that we can keep products food safe, and we can ensure that we're getting things to our partners in the condition that it needs to be. But we also, at times, in order to if we're getting more donations or we have more deliveries than we can handle, we use third-party carriers. We contract out with, there's a company called LV here locally that does a large part of our third-party pickups. But we do our best to try to keep our donors happy. So if they've got a product that they need to get out of their warehouse on a certain day, and maybe all of our drivers are tied up picking up their regular routine runs, we'll use a third-party carrier to go out and get that product to ensure that we keep the donor happy. But many times it's a product that we'd love to have, and it's well worth us picking up the tab to go get it in order to make it available to our customers. So that's my portion of today's presentation. I'm going to be available for the Q&A after Katie kind of shares her portion of what she does. But I want to introduce Katie Lyman, who's been with the organization over 9 years, and 7 of those years she's been our procurement manager and done a fine job of it. So I'm going to introduce you to Katie now.
Thank you very much. I am Katie. I'm the procurement manager here at Mid-Ohio Foodbank. I've actually been here now just a little over 11 years. I started as an AmeriCorps Vista. So I was at the old building for about 2 months before we moved, and then was hired on in 2010 and have been here ever since. I'm going to talk a little bit about where our food comes from, and then kind of what the mix looks like when it's leaving the building, going out to our agency partners. Of all of the product that we get through the building in a fiscal year, 37% of it comes from food industry donations, which are distributors, suppliers, manufacturers, farmers and retailers, as well as anything that we get through Feeding America, whether it's a local or a national donor. 44% last year came through our government programs. We get product from USDA at the federal level, and the Ohio Association of Food Banks at the state level. And that leaves the last 19% we purchase from local, national, and international vendors, basically to supplement what we're not already getting through donations and the government product. So our food industry donations come from quite a few different sources. Like I said, our local distributors and suppliers, all of our retailers. We get our salvage, reclamation, sorting that Dave was talking about from Amazon and Kroger and Giant Eagle. We also get prepared foods that we rescue from restaurants that go directly to some of our agencies that serve meals. So it's already been prepared, it's still food safe, but we are taking it directly to the customers that can use it. We also get a lot of product from other food banks. We like to share with each other. Sometimes we have a lot of product in our area that we can't necessarily use. If we have oversaturation of one type of a product, then we'll share with another food bank, and vice versa. And then all of the donations that we get through Feeding America are basically split into 2 categories. They're either national donations, which we get through our choice system, which I'll talk about in a minute, or through our produce purchasing portal. And then anything that we consider Feeding America local are all of the retailers and donors that are technically in our service territory. So they are national donors, but we're picking up just the donations that are in our service territory. The choice system is provided by Feeding America. It's basically an online bidding system that we can go on to. They provide donations from a slew of different donors all across the country, lots of different categories. Right now, there's just a ton of dairy products because that's just what is in excess around the country right now. But we get a lot of, we try to get a lot of items that we don't typically have in our service territory through our regular donations, like cereals and HBC products, personal care items and things like that. So we use our shares that we are allocated through Feeding America to bid on these different donations, and sometimes we win and sometimes we don't. It's an interesting kind of system, but we can also use this system to share with other food banks as well by putting a maroon load on that other food banks can then bid on from us. At the government, the federal level of the government donations, we have a bunch of different programs all coming through the USDA. There are 3 programs that that we've kind of had all along, and then several that are very new in the last year or 2. CSFP is our commodity supplemental food program. That's the senior boxes that we pack here and send out to our senior sites. That's been around for a long time, as well as the Emergency Food Assistance Program, which is split into 2 different programs. There's entitlement, where they basically allocate us an allocation of funding that we then spend how we like to, based on the products that are available in the USDA purchasing portal and what we know our agencies really would like to have. So that's the one we have the most control over what product we get. Bonus, on the other hand, we never know when it's coming or what it's going to be necessarily, but basically that's just USDA going out into the market and buying up a bunch of product that that may be in excess before anything affects the market, and then distributing it to all of the different food banks across the country. About 2 years ago, trade mitigation became the newest program for USDA in response to a lot of the trade wars that were happening. And suddenly there was a ton of new excess product in the system, in the supply chain. And that actually, from 2 years ago to last year, was a huge increase. We almost doubled our pounds just from USDA because of the trade mitigation program. And then the 3 new programs are all since March, of course, in response to the COVID-19 crisis. Those are the 3 acts that came through Congress for the coronavirus response. And the first 2, the FFCRA and the CARES, they provided us more funding similar to the TSAP entitlement, where we can go onto their portal and buy and basically order the products that we need and not use our own money for that. The CFAP Farmers to Family Boxes, that was a very different kind of program than we have seen from USDA before. The goal in that program was to help out a lot of the farmers and distributors around the country that suddenly were not able to sell their product to restaurants and schools and things because everyone was closing down. So they created this system where these distributors and farmers would pack boxes for us, deliver them to us, and then we would deliver them to our agencies, which has been a huge help on the fresh side. We've had a ton of produce and dairy come in that way. But just through the USDA program, this past fiscal year alone, we had almost 20 million pounds, 19.6 million pounds, which is about equivalent to 560 semi-truck loads of food, which is a 49% increase over last year and 138% increase over the year before, which is just incredible. At the state level, our Ohio Association of Food Banks is our umbrella network, similar to Feeding America on the national level. They take care of us at the state level through 2 different programs. One is for produce. It's the agricultural clearance program, where they provide us surplus product from more than 100 farmers around the state. And that typically accounts for about half of the produce that we get in, that we order throughout the year. And then the other side of the program is the shelf stable side, which is the Ohio Food Purchase. And that's where they provide us with shelf stable canned goods and frozen protein products. We also get eggs, and that's about the only fresh thing that we get from OFP. Lastly, our purchased programs are from the shelf stable side. We have our full cost recovery, that's our PUR, where we're basically trying to supplement all of our donations and government program products with things that we aren't necessarily seeing a lot of, but focusing on sort of the center of the plate meal items. We try to get them in pairs so that they can kind of create a meal when they actually come in together. But spaghetti sauce, peanut butter and jelly, pancake mix and syrup, those kind of things that we don't necessarily have as much control over on some of the other programs. And then on the produce side, we have our vendor purchase produce, which again is to supplement the donations and government product for variety, because these two programs are always going to be our sort of our lowest priority. We want to make sure that we get in as much product donated and government funded as we can, so that we can stretch our dollars as far as we can. And then lastly, I just wanted to give a couple of stats about what the product looks like going out, and that's our distributed product mix. This past year, the shelf stable and the produce are actually neck and neck at 43%. And then the other fresh, which would be the dairy, bread, and juices, round out at 14%, which puts us at almost 60% of fresh product, which is really great. It's really wholesome, nutritious product for all of our agencies and customers. And then this year, partially because of our COVID response, we set a record for 74 million pounds distributed, which is a 16% increase over fiscal 19. And 40% of that was just between March and June. And you can see in the graph off to the right, the huge spike that happened around March, and it's just continued to climb since then. So we don't really see that going anywhere anytime soon, but that's mostly been in response to the COVID crisis. That is all I have.
All right, thank you, Dave and Katie, for sharing more light on how things work at Mid-Ohio Foodbank. We have some questions here from some people who've been tuning in. One of those questions is, do all food donations first go to the food bank in Grove City, and then are they distributed by drivers?
So I can take that. The not all go, because as I mentioned, in some cases, we've got partner agencies that are going directly to to the whether it's a supermarket or a mass merchant or a manufacturer, and picking up product directly. As I said, kind of taking us out of the middle, adding time, because they would lose time if the product came here and then we had to then put it on another truck to take it back out someplace else. But we have, and oftentimes folks will call in with a donation, and we can find an agency that is open in their local community that is willing to take that donation. So we'll try to connect those partners wherever possible. And then Malik, we had a couple other questions I saw come through. One of them had to talk about food safety and how do we know it's safe. So as I said, during the reclaim process, they're checking dates and ensuring that the product is within its code date. But code dates, best by, use by, those types of things are very confusing. So we do, in some instances, get what we call an extension directly from the manufacturer. For example, Kraft, Kellogg might say that, yes, a yogurt might have a use by date of, September 30th. But they said we will grant a 2-week extension. You can, because they know the product quality may be different than what their targeted, state would be, but they know the wholesomeness. It's not a food safety issue for the next 2 weeks. And many of these, as I said, sell by, use by dates or best by dates you'll hear have to do with whatever their product standard might be from a quality perspective. But from a wholesome, food safe perspective, they know that they can extend those dates. One example where there is no tolerance is baby food, baby formula. Those things we do not extend. We never, those products, if we've got any sort of short date on it, we're making sure that those products get pulled out of our inventory and destroyed. And the other thing is over-the-counter medications. We don't necessarily source for. We don't go out and buy Tylenol. We don't. But when we do get donations, we do not extend those kind of over-the-counter medication dates. And another question we saw come across had to do with, hey, if you want to make a donation, how do you do that? One of the things that we tried to avoid whenever the pandemic hit was we didn't want to create a bunch of food drives because there was so much pressure on the supermarkets already. We didn't want to create even more shortages at the shelf level. So we tried to acquire food where we could through our supplier network because there was so much pressure on our donors. But these days, if there are donations, we accept donations at our facility, the 3960 Brookham Drive, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. till 3:30 p.m. And folks can just drive up and make a donation. We'll write up a receipt and take it. We'll weigh it up and take it. If they've got any questions, generally we accept, I say everything but alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Those things we cannot accept. And we cannot accept food that was manufactured in the home. So if somebody says, hey, I've got a bunch of great canned beets or whatever, that's wonderful, but that's not something we can distribute. By the same token, if somebody made a bunch of prepared foods, we're just not able to distribute those or accept and distribute those. And if anybody were to have any questions, I'll share my telephone number, which is area code 614-317-9470. And I can advise if you've got a question on, hey, I've got something, is it, can you use it? Be happy to give you the answer on that. My email address is simply ddaniel@midohiofoodbank.org. If you have the same question, I'll take it that way.
Awesome. Thank you, Dave. I have a couple more questions here. Another one is, I see you get food from local stores. Do you ever get donations straight from the company who makes it? So whoever makes a particular product.
All the time. We're very fortunate that we've built relationships throughout the 40 years with manufacturers. As I said, the way that Feeding America handles this, if they're outside of our service area, they've got to offer it to their local food bank first. But if it's something that they can't handle, for example, we've got a great relationship with Dole. Dole has a facility that's not in our trade area. They're actually in the Springfield trade area, and they have a lot of great fresh salads and fresh produce and so forth that oftentimes the Springfield Food Bank can't handle it all. So we'll go up and get it from them. So again, I want to say that we are really blessed with some wonderful organizations that think of us, and not only from these types of donations where it's an excess product, but they reached out and said, hey, what can we do? And as I said, we're very fortunate, and we've developed, as I said, wonderful relationships that have kind of lasted throughout. So.
Awesome. And then last question, really quick, what does a normal day look like for one of your drivers?
Normal. We accept, again, we get calls throughout the day. We get situations where You know, our driver might be out, you know, on a particular run. We do have some established routine stops that they'll make, you know, to pick up certain donors from us. But we might get a phone call from a restaurant that has said that hey, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to reopen right now. We've got all these canned goods. Can somebody swing by and pick it up? Our drivers are all equipped with cell phones. We've got kind of a GPS tracker, so we can identify who's within a certain area, and you know, hey, is that something they can fit on their truck? You know, the big question often is we don't want to violate any DOT laws about, you know, weights and so forth on the road. So you know, we'll redirect that driver to go pick that product up, or as I said, one of the things you know, we try to do is if some, you know, many times donors are willing to move it themselves, we'll just identify through agency track who's the nearest agency partner that's open that day, and reach out to see if that's something they can take. But they load their trucks about 6 a.m., head out onto the road, and most of our drivers are back and get a second trip before the end of the day. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dave and Katie. We appreciate you, you know, spending time with us, explain Mid-Ohio Foodbank and how things work and all the different things that we do in order to help distribute food to our community. So thank you for participating with us this morning.
Glad to do it.
Absolutely. And next up, we're going to hear more about our Mid-Ohio farm. So here in a couple of seconds here, we're going to hear from our farm manager, Bo McMahon, and also our senior project manager, Chris Moscato.
Hello, everybody. So my name is Chris Moscato. I am the senior project manager for the farm and our markets. And during this session, we will be talking about Mid-Ohio Farm on the Hilltop. Bo, do you want to talk a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, how's it going, everybody? My name is Bo McMahon. I'm the farm manager here for Mid-Ohio Farms and helping direct the new vision that we're looking to build out here on the west side and Hilltop. So I guess let's dive into it, huh? So we're going to be sharing a slideshow and a video of where we're at so far with this new direction we're taking Mid-Ohio Farm with the Mid-Ohio Food Collective and our new missions. So, you know, we are the Mid-Ohio Farm, but the cool thing about what we're doing at the farm is we are going to be able to incorporate, you know, all the facets that we're bringing with the Mid-Ohio Collective, from just the food bank missions to pharmacy to kitchen and market. We'll have all on this facility here at on the west side in Hilltop. You know, and I'll do the best I can to try to nutshell what we're doing out here at the farm. It's a very diverse, complex thing we're trying to accomplish here. So I'll do the best I can in the time frame to try to touch all the bases. And you know, and we've titled it, you know, a couple different things. We've called it different things: Farm of the Future and Edu Farm. You know, Smart Farm. You know, we there's a lot of different things we've tried to title it, but I think the best thing to try to encompass what we're doing is it's really an agricultural ecosystem that we're developing out here, because it really tries to encompass everything with ag, you know, in all the different fields and all the people and communities that agricultural can impact, from the urban farm community to the residential community. You know, it's really a full ecosystem, from the practices that we do out here, the growing methods, and who we impact and who we're helping with this. It really is a full ecosystem that, you know, every aspect, every concept, every facet of what we do here, it's all important, and they all feed off each other to help each other become stronger and have better longevity and success. So you can see in this slide, the next one with the Edu Farm, you know, build a future proof of workforce, maximize community impact, a living lab for ag innovation. These are just a few of the key components that we're going to do out here. And it keeps expanding and expanding with the possibilities really are endless when we start really trying to dive into, its capabilities when we start construction on this 7-acre site that we have begun construction on. We were able to just this past summer get a lot of the concepts and ideas that we're building towards completed and operational to try to help show the vision and the direction that we're going, including getting a 1/4-acre vertical grow system put out here, some shipping containers with microgreens. We've even built a dome that we're using to try to go with a new direction with a cool aquaponic system that has a pretty cool twist to itself. But we'll be getting to visuals of that here shortly. We really want to maximize the community impact, reskilling and upskilling opportunities, mentorship to urban farmers, community park, playground. So this other stuff can really bring communities together on our site, becoming a destination that communities can come together. And another really cool thing is while we're doing all these other, ideas and concepts, simultaneously, we're going to be producing up to 300,000 pounds of produce each year while we're doing all these other things. So it's like, we're the massive community impacts, the stuff we're doing, but while we're doing that, we're producing a lot of food that will help the communities in these food deserts and help really get the other aspects of the food bank going, like helping with giving food to the kitchen, to our pantries, to everything. The food really goes back to the community in the best way we can help. The economic investment and unique stuff, with the living lab for ag innovation, we're going to try to serve as a leader in the space of technology and innovation and urban farming, really try to help show these technologies that honestly aren't really all that new. They've been around for a while, and the science and the data is there to prove its functionality, and we're really looking to bring that to our location to help show that these things are out there, how they operate, the success that they can have. So constantly evolving with tech as it develops, and we want to really try to demonstrate here at the farm and offer the training and access to all these things. So when I say the tech, what do I mean by that? So what specifically are we doing? So it's really to demonstrate, a lot of the above ground growing capabilities, soilless growing that exists today and its capabilities. And there's a lot of the kind of underbelly points to that too. It's also to demonstrate new locations that we can be farming. We're not just looking for, old fields or small yards, that we can be growing this. We can use these applications on rooftops, vacant parking lots, anywhere that you can get water to, you can farm. And in today's world, with the growing population development and the downsizing of available farmland, it's really going to demonstrate the importance of these things. And so we can kind of go into what specifically I'm talking about when I say these technologies. So we'll get to that shortly. So to build a future-proof workforce, we have a bunch of stats and facts here. Today's skills to trending to declining. So I won't go into all of those with our time frame, but this information is available to people that want to look into it further. So yeah, upskilled, reskilled workforce, the data, STEAM, best practices. So one thing I haven't even talked about yet, which is one of the main platforms we're doing here, is the education that educational capabilities we'll have out here. Everything we do will be fully interactive through cameras, through content creation. So we can really tap into our local educational facilities, from all the different school systems to colleges. We'll have curriculum from pre-K all the way to postgraduate work and everything in between. I say pun intended, but we really want to plant seeds in these kids' heads about how important this stuff is, and hopefully find some future farmers that, kids that might not even realize that this is available to them, that this is a future path, career path for them, and get them excited about it and show them break that stigma of what traditional ag represents, of its representation of, you got to have thousands of acres, know how to operate large equipment. That's just not true anymore. We have a lot of new technologies that are, science driven, tech driven, that we feel that the kids will get excited about. And the cool thing is we're doing it here in town. You don't have to drive 30 miles to find a facilities. We're right here in Hilltop. So it's very accessible to everybody. So the path forward, go to the next slide. So we're going to be showing a video, and while we're doing the video, it kind of gives a better visual of what we're doing. And while we're showing the visual, I'll kind of go into the technologies that we're going to be installing while you kind of capture the visually what this looks like. So some of the stuff we're doing is it's like all the hydroponic, the vertical growing, aquaculture, so the pure fish farming. So you can see in the video, like we'll have the Mid-Ohio market, which will be a really innovative pantry for shopping, giving a unique shopping experience right here on the farm. We're real excited about the market, which you'll hear more about here shortly. So I won't dive into that too much, but we will have the market capabilities here on site. So as we go down the sidewalk on your right, we have a community pavilion that we can really host events, that we can incorporate educational capabilities, classroom settings, and even dive farther into different technologies that can even go as far as coding, drone operation. The opportunity is almost endless for the directions that we can go here on this farm, but also not lose sight that this is farm and everything will be STEM. In the STEM, the agricultural world will be the main platform of it. And you can just kind of see, even though it is a farm, it definitely has a park platform to it. It's very public and user friendly, that we're always open for all community members to come join, to come learn, to come have a good time. And it's just a really exciting platform that we're excited to get to build here. The community gardens, kind of see like we could have a possible farmers market feel to it, and with the outdoor classroom. So here we're going to get into the tech aspects of it. Is we're going to have four fully functional climate controlled digital greenhouses out here. And inside each greenhouse will represent a different indoor technology theme. So in the greenhouse number 1, we'll focus on different hydroponic growing methods, from tabletop to beta buckets. We really want to condense everything down to get as many variations of each growing operation as possible, so we can really properly educate and show all the different platforms. Greenhouse number 2 will focus on the different variations of vertical indoor farming that will also incorporate aeroponics. The third greenhouse, we want to really hone in on aquaculture, which aquaculture is fish farming. So freshwater, saltwater, shrimp, really dive into the different variations of aquaculture and fish farming. And then in the fourth high tunnel, we're going to try to create a artificial environment of southern growing. So palm trees, fruit trees that you can't typically see here in Ohio. You'll be able to come out in the middle of February in 2 foot of snow and sit under a palm tree. So a lot more to come on that. And to show where we're at currently, as of January, we had a 7-acre site that was just all field. We had one small greenhouse that we could do a little bit of climate control in, but pretty much it was a clean slate of empty fields. And we worked hard to try to get at least a demonstration of the direction we're heading in. And we really started construction I would say about April. And then today, this is what we look like now. So very quickly, we're able to demonstrate a lot and build a lot, thanks to the National Guard and the soldiers helping, giving a lot of helping hand to help build this in a short period of time. But so you can see the vertical towers, all shade. You can see the dome where we're doing the aquaponic system. shipping container growing, above ground potting systems, and everything having a unique element and a level of tech to it. And that just kind of demonstrates the direction we're going. So, you know, we're at the tip of the iceberg of what we're looking to accomplish here. And super excited about the response so far. And like I said, I could keep going, but I'll do a hard stop because it feels like it's a good place to stop. This is some more slides. It kind of gives a different aerial view of what we're talking about. So we have the 4 different greenhouses: vertical, aero, and hydroponics, the aquaculture, the tropical growing. So it kind of gives some more pictures to what I'm talking about with our future vision. Also creating grids, so we continue to we really want to effectively use every square foot out here, so that there's any dead space, and the full 7 acres will be fully encompassed with some type of operation going on. Some more slides, kind of give some more visuals. We're still trying to map out and plan how this will all come together. It is a very, very complex and diverse facility we are building out here, but we don't want to undersell what our capabilities are. You know, I say I'm shooting for the stars, so even when we land on the moon, we've still really accomplished some great things out here. So we're working diligently to try to get this going, and I can't say how excited I am to try to build this out, and knowing the impact it will have on our communities.
All right, Bo. So I'll walk us through the market that we have plans for on the farm. So let me play this video here, and I'll walk everybody through it. So we are looking at several different distribution models here on the farm. First of all, you see the lockers up front, where customers can order beforehand and then come and pick up their food out of lockers. We will also have our standard market approach, which is a grocery store shopping experience. As you come in, you'll see a welcome desk on the left and a small cafe on the right that can be flipped into different event opportunities, teaching opportunities. As Dave and Kate mentioned, we focus a lot on produce and healthy living. So along with that, the produce will be front and center. And as the video turns here, you'll see a Mid-Ohio Pharmacy, which is coming up with Amy and Jennifer. We will have space there for different opportunities to work with that program. And then as you can see, everything is clean, really refreshing, wide aisles, really easy access, easy to get to. That way everybody can come and shop based off of the 200% of poverty income requirements. But our goal for the markets in general is to really expand the perception of our services. In the back of house, you see a drive-through model that we are looking to launch. Some of our agency partners are currently doing delivery, and we are looking to explore that possibility. That way, we can deliver it straight to your front door, and so we would have the grocery store opportunity, a drive-through model or delivery model, as well as the locker system on site. That way everybody can get the food at whichever convenient way is best for them and their lives. Let's see if we have any questions out here.
Yes, Chris, we do. We do have a couple of questions that have come in. One of those is, for those who live on the hilltop, how can they become involved in the farm?
You have several opportunities to volunteer. I believe I saw that link was shared there. But we are also looking to really get feedback from our neighbors there in the hilltop. So definitely by reaching out, we would love to hear from you. Bo, do you want to talk about some of the farming side of how hilltop residents can help out?
Yeah, so to kind of, and I'll apologize for any background noise. We are on the farm today, and there's some construction going on the adjacent property, so I apologize for any noise. But yeah, no, that's the other element that we didn't touch on is just the overall volunteer experience. We're going to be able to offer here on the farm. It's not your old school kind of traditional urban farm volunteering thing where we're just going out and weeding fields and stuff. Like when you volunteer your time here on the farm, you're really going to get an educational experience out of this, learning some valuable like home practices, how you can farm and do patio farming and above ground growing. So every time we appreciate time spent out here. So we want to give back by teaching and showing volunteers their different methods out here and getting integrated into the systems that we're using from the hydroponic to vertical farming. We're really going to be able to offer a very unique volunteer experience.
Awesome. Another question we have here is how much can you grow in those vertical towers versus traditional use of that area?
Sure. It's not, so it's kind of a bit of an average, but with standard crops, a 1/4 acre vertical tower system like I have here is the equivalent of 5 traditional growing acres. But that's also another factor that isn't always factored in is our harvest rate. So how much of that we planted is successfully harvested as distributable product. Where traditional farms on average within that same 5 acre space could probably be in your traditional produce is around 30%. In our vertical grow system, I'm harvesting at 90 to 97% harvest. So we're growing a lot more on a smaller space, and we're harvesting at significantly higher rates than traditional farming.
Okay.
And make sure you follow us on social media. That way you can see videos and different pictures, because the lettuce and different crops that Bo is growing are top notch. Every single one is beautiful. So make sure you follow us out there on social media.
Sure. Another question we have here is going green is becoming more and more important with time. How sustainable is Mid-Ohio Farm, and will there be opportunities for composting partnerships and or regenerative farming?
Very, very green, like extreme, like that's the cool thing is, we don't talk about sustainability because we kind of do that very, very organically, pun intended, and naturally. Using recirculating water, these drip systems that we have with the vertical towers are very precision, and so and doing soilless growing, using different perlite stuff like the water absorption we use very little water, so it's extremely sustainable. Composting, as anybody who knows about composting, is a very involved process. So I typically let the professionals do the composting, and but that's one direction we're going, is because I have such a high harvest rate, I'm not really producing much waste out here. So the composting elements, kind of doesn't exactly fit out here, but that doesn't mean it's not important. It's just we're going a little bit of a different direction with our concepts out here at the farm.
And as the farm of the future, we are invested in looking into solar power, wind power, different opportunities there to be self sustaining. So in the years to come, you'll see a lot of different aspects coming to the farm around power. Luckily, a lot of what is being built out there doesn't take much power because of timers and different aspects. However, we are looking to be out as self-sustaining as possible throughout this build-out process.
Awesome. We have another question here. If I want to volunteer, how will you make sure that I'm safe?
So if that question specific to current elements, we do practice social distancing, and that's the other thing is like we're not using farm equipment out here. It's all soilless growing, it's all hands. We do so it's very, very safe environment. We're not out in field, so it's very clean surfaces that you're walking on, because we do have that park platform here that is very public and user friendly. So we definitely minimize any elevated health risks out here. So very safe environment, and we definitely pride ourselves in that.
Awesome, awesome. And we have one more question here. It looks like, can I do any of these growing methods at home?
Absolutely, all of them to a condensed version, but that's another element that we're going to do is like it's the full spectrum of size. So all of these systems that we're introducing out here, you don't need a lot of space, and that's the point of them. You're growing a lot of food on a small space, so even to the smallest condensed version, the vertical towers we have out here it takes up 2 square feet, and it's completely can be self recirculating. So that's the idea, is we want these systems to spread to all platforms, to all areas. So even if you're in an apartment complex and have a patio, pretty much all these systems to a certain extent can be transferable to that small space.
Awesome. That's incredible. Well, thank you guys. Thank you for participating and sharing more about our Mid-Ohio farm. That was great. Definitely explaining a lot of things we're doing to be involved in the community. So I thank you for your time.
No problem.
Thank you, Malik.
Thank you. And next up, we're going to hear about our Mid-Ohio Pharmacy program. So next here, we're going to hear from Amy Headings, our Director of Research and Nutrition, as well as Jennifer Parsons, our Senior Project Manager.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody. This is Jennifer.
Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming, and thanks for joining us to hear about Mid-Ohio Pharmacy. I think that Jennifer is going to share her screen so we can get started with that.
Yep. Can you see my screen?
I cannot see your screen, Jennifer.
Okay, give me 1 second here. Okay, let's try this. Yeah?
There we go.
Great.
Super. So we'll just do, I think, briefly introduce ourselves, and then I'll let Jennifer take it away with the first couple of slides. Like Malik said, my name is Amy Headings. I'm the Director of Research and Nutrition here at Mid-Ohio Foodbank. And I have been here since 2011 and really worked on what has now become known as the Mid-Ohio Pharmacy program since then. My background is in diabetes education and models of behavior change. I'll pass to Jennifer now.
Great. And my name is Jennifer Parsons. I'm the Senior Project Manager here at the Food Bank on the Mid-Ohio Pharmacy program. So we're going to talk to you today about Mid-Ohio Pharmacy. We're going to give sort of a general overview and talk about what we're currently doing, the partners that we work with, and then we'll move into talking briefly about our future work, and happy to take any questions, of course, that y'all have. So what is Mid-Ohio Pharmacy? The Mid-Ohio Pharmacy has gone through many iterations. It is currently focused on partnerships between the food bank and local healthcare providers. The main crux of this program is we know that healthcare providers have a special relationship with patients, especially when it comes to talking about food and how that food impacts your health. And so our goal is to connect folks to healthy produce and healthy food for themselves and for their household, specifically by working with and through healthcare providers who essentially provide a prescription for their patients to go get fresh, healthy food once a week at the food bank or at our agency partners who participate in the pharmacy program. So just a couple of statistics on food insecurity to give an idea of how food insecurity plays into folks' lives in Ohio and specifically around Franklin County and how that's changed with COVID. We know that USDA statistics, these come from our Feeding America network, that in Ohio, 13.2% of families of households have food insecurity. And what that means is that folks have limited availability or uncertain availability to get nutritious food in their household. So 13.2% is the Ohio statistic. What we've seen in terms of COVID, how COVID has impacted food insecurity, is that has actually increased by 6 percentage points, which is actually almost a 50% increase in the number of households that are reporting food insecurity. And the same is true in Franklin County in the Columbus area and surrounding communities. 13.7% of folks before COVID had experienced food insecurity, and afterwards we've seen an increase of 5%. And these statistics are about 2 months old, I would say. So given what we've seen with COVID, I would say these are probably even higher now. But again, a 5% increase, that's almost 30% more families that are experiencing food insecurity because of COVID. So what we know is that as folks interact with their healthcare providers, there are more of them that are experiencing food insecurity, and which leads us to believe and thinking about and strategizing on how we're going to continue to work with healthcare providers, in particular as folks are maybe moving to telemedicine. We know that this is still happening, and we know that food insecurity is still a challenge, and COVID has exacerbated that levels of food insecurity in our community. I'm going to turn it over to Amy here.
Great, thanks, Jennifer. This is just a little bit of history about Mid-Ohio Pharmacy. Like I said, really when I came to Mid-Ohio Foodbank, food banking in general was really just dipping their toe into the impact that emergency feeding has on health. And so in 2011, we partnered with Feeding America, the Bristol Myers Squibb Foundation, and 2 other food banks, one in California and one in Texas, to really do a first look at what is the impact of appropriate foods on health outcome for people that are diagnosed with diabetes. And so with that was a research project that we did here. We partnered also locally here with Ohio State and also with Primary One Health. And in that work, what we did, similar to the other 2 food banks that were also participating, is we looked for patients that already had a primary care provider and were being treated for diabetes. When they visited their physician, they were screened for food insecurity status, which I think that we touch on that in another slide pretty soon. But the patients were screened as for their food insecurity status, and if they screened as food insecure, they were given the opportunity to enroll in this project. Patients in this project were provided food 2 times per month for a period of up to 3 years. And what we really discovered from that was that there were a few things that we discovered from it. First of all, the role of food in a person's life, and that screening for food insecurity, it wasn't really being addressed at the provider level on any kind of like formal fashion. So that was a really big kind of like aha, not only for us, but also for the healthcare providers to say, you know what, how do we start to screen for and acknowledge and address this? The second thing that we learned really was that the patients responded that the produce over everything was probably the most desired item that we provided. So we took that learning and have morphed into what we're at with Mid-Ohio Pharmacy today. The other thing that we learned too was that our agencies kind of simultaneously to this project were really stepping up their game when it comes to produce distribution. And so we have a great network of partner agencies that we wouldn't really be able to do this without. And so we decided at that point in time to move from a prepackaged type of food distribution to patients to the prescription program, which Jennifer alluded to earlier. If you're interested in the outcomes of this project, it was published in Health Affairs in a journal article in 2015, and we can make that available to folks if you're really interested in the outcomes. From there, we started to partner with Primary One Health, and we knew that there needed to be some kind of referral that came from the role of the provider was really important. So referral from the provider needed to be kind of key in this. We tried a lot of different ways to do a produce prescription, a paper prescription. We faxed prescriptions to the food pantry to have it entered into Pantry Track, our electronic system that we use here. But what we saw was this was really difficult to make any kind of trackable type of link between the provider, the patient, and the food access. And I say that because it's very important as we kind of move toward policy change that there's evidence of the impact of emergency feeding on health outcomes. And so at that point in time, we moved to an electronic referral. There was and continues to be a lot of legal work that goes on to make this happen. And so in 2015, I won't say that it derailed us, but for a while it took almost, I would say, a good 9 months to get through some of the legal requirements that needed to occur in order to make this move forward. But we continued to work together with Primary One Health to figure that out because we both knew that it was very important. And then as we were able to do that, we moved into kind of a quasi-electronic version where an electronic fax was sent to the food bank and that information was entered into Fresh Track, Pantry Track. And then when that patient acquired food, that information was logged and we were able to see if frequency of visit had any kind of impact on health outcomes. After about 6,000 referrals, we moved into a fully electronic version, which is where we're at today, where we've added multiple providers. Next slide, Jennifer. Okay. And so one of the things that we did see is that we were able to look at some of this information. What's the impact of frequency of visit to emergency feeding on health outcomes? And we had a graduate student and some great advisors at Ohio State that helped look at this, or that did look at it. And so what we saw was that for patients that had a body mass index, which is a comparison of your height to your weight, 30 or more, that's considered obese, who visited at one of our agency partners over 11 times a year, they lost about 3% of their body weight compared to those that did not visit. That might not seem like it's a lot of weight loss, but when we think about it, weight loss is really one of the primary factors that is looked at when contributing to health. And if you look at the Diabetes Prevention Program, which is a national program that is endorsed by the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, The goal for that is a 5 to 7% weight loss. And so these patients were seeing a 3% weight loss purely with increased food access, and really no other education intervention or anything like that. The other thing that we saw for these patients was about $40 per person cost savings per visit. And so when you look at that overall, that's about a 10% cost savings to primary care visits. Our partners at Ohio State think that this is really a conservative estimate because it does not take into account any cost savings to hospital systems, any cost to medication changes or anything like this. And so, so there really is quite a substantial cost savings. And we hope to be able to get our arms around some of those other cost savings soon. We did just submit this publication for acceptance to Journal Health Management. And so hopefully it was accepted, is reviewed and accepted. All right, next slide, Jennifer. Okay, these just talk about some of our current pharmacy partners. So Primary One Health has really been critical in helping us move this forward. So I can't say enough thanks to them. But we also have partners with Charitable Pharmacy of Central Ohio, the Ohio State University, Hopewell Health Center is one of our rural partners in Ross County, Physicians Care Connection, as well as Heart of Ohio Family Health. And we also have some others that have expressed interest that we're currently working through. All right, I think I'm going to pass to Jennifer at this point in time to talk about some of our current and future work.
Great. So I think one of the things that this slide hits on is we are working with lots of different types of partners. We have federally qualified health centers that we're working with. We're starting to work with different insurers and healthcare plans. And there's also a mix between, more rural providers as well as folks in more urban areas. So with that, as well as with all of the new technologies that we are working on developing at the food bank, we came up with a couple of different scenarios and ideas that we could incorporate and things we could incorporate into both our online platforms as well as the mobile technology that's being developed to try and connect more people into these systems so they can get connected to the pharmacy network. So very briefly, I'm just going to talk about this. The technology that's being developed within the food bank and within our network of Fresh Track is something that we've been intentional about creating sort of a different assessments and making sure that we're gathering information from folks that will be helpful for them and helpful for us in order to figure out how to best serve them. And our initial wellness assessment that we've come up with, we took questions from lots of different validated surveys and screening tools that we know our providers are using on a number of different topics. So what this wellness assessment can do is it's kind of a quick 10 or 12 question assessment that gives us a sense of what does food insecurity look like for the people who are accessing our services, and then what's the impact of COVID been on their health and wellness, and what other services can we connect them to. Our primary, from the pharmacy perspective, sort of our primary interest is thinking about their health. So we want to get a sense of, do they have health insurance? Do they have a doctor that they see on a regular basis? Do they need a referral to a healthcare provider or a website that tells them, how they can get insurance and figure out what they can qualify for? And then do they want a referral to a doctor or a healthcare provider? And this is not exclusive to our current partners. This is providing information to folks no matter what they might have access to in terms of private health insurance or Medicare, Medicaid. It's really just a place for us to figure out what the need is and then the best way to provide that information to folks. So then the third piece of this is thinking about what other referrals do they need. We know that folks need food, but we also know, thinking about the social determinants of health and how that fits into what we're doing, we know that people don't really need food. There's a need out there for additional services and connections to different things that are going to improve health outcomes for folks in the long run. So we've built in a few questions around, what else do you need? If you need food, okay, we can help you with that. But do you need information about childcare? Do you need housing support, transportation, etc.? So this is just to give folks kind of an idea of where this is going. We are hoping to sort of build out a kind of a wellness tool and a wellness program, a more holistic wellness program within this app that will allow folks to connect both to food partners, but also thinking about how we're addressing all the other social determinants. So just a plug for the website, if anybody wants more information specifically about the pharmacy, you can visit midohiopharmacy.com and contact Amy or I, obviously, if you've got other additional questions. I think that's it from our end. Happy to talk about any questions if folks have that.
Absolutely. Thank you, Amy and Jennifer, for that presentation. We do have a couple of questions here. One of them is, how do you work with Medicaid?
Okay, super. Thanks, Malik and Jennifer. I think we can both answer this. Currently, the way that we work with Medicaid is we are working with their managed care plans. So for those that are on the call that are unfamiliar with Ohio Medicaid, Ohio Medicaid is a source of insurance for individuals that may be low income, or they may have a job but may not earn enough money to, they may not have access to insurance through their employer and still meet the income requirements. And so the way that Ohio Medicaid is administered is through what are called managed care plans. And so those managed care plans really act kind of as the arms of Ohio Medicaid to ensure the individuals in Ohio that qualify. So that is really currently how we work with the managed care plans to either directly provide food referrals through that managed care plan, or there is some work that's currently occurring in this new area of work to connect referrals with the managed care plan. Anything else, Jennifer, really on that?
No, I would say, the one thing about the managed care plans, specifically in Medicaid, is they are really paying more attention to the social determinants of health within all of their work. And I think for us, that's something that, we have, there's such a great need in the space where we work that we really like to partner with, anyone who wants to talk about how that works and what that looks like in terms of social determinants of health and how we can address food insecurity from an insurance and a managed care standpoint. I think we have larger dreams and visions about how we would work with Medicaid, but we'll save that for another day. In terms of what they're covering and what they're letting, what their plans provide in terms of access to food for anybody, no matter who their managed care insurer happens to be.
Okay. Another question we have is, am I limited on what food I can get with my food prescription? And how do I let my doctor know about this program? Also, what are the sites that will fill my prescription?
Super. So with the Mid-Ohio Pharmacy program, the partners that we work with guarantee produce access for the patient and their household one time per week. It's really up to the discretion of the agency whether they provide additional food. How do you let your doctor know about this program? Well, if you have a person that's interested in this program, you can tell your physician about it. And if they would like to participate, Jennifer and I'd be more than happy to talk with them about how they can get involved. And what are the sites that fulfill my prescription? Those and a plethora of information are available on our website. And Jennifer, do you want to talk about our website a little bit more?
Yeah, and actually I'll do a screen share here as well. So on the website, you will see this is sort of the front page in terms of introduction to the pharmacy program. There are also, so here where we've got, what you need to bring, all the different locations are on here. So, wherever you are in the different more rural counties, it'll show you all the different places that you can get services and use your card, use your pharmacy card to get food. There's also, we've got lists of frequently asked questions, which might address a lot of the questions that folks might have that we don't happen to get to today. There's also links. Amy mentioned some of the research that was done out of the first initial study with primary one. That is linked in here. There is specifically, questions from healthcare providers. Is this based on evidence? What's the different work that we've done? So you can see that here. There's the pilot program is linked, as well as the article we were talking about. So the other cool thing that we've got, and this is, whether you're a Mid-Ohio Pharmacy participant or not, there's some great stuff under patient resources that talks about some different chronic health conditions that folks have, lists of resources when it comes to food and how food impacts your health, and whether that's diabetes, heart disease, cancer prevention, or other, just how to make healthy eating choices. We've got a link to a number of different recipes, and we've been posting recipes on our Facebook page once a week, just to try to put as much information out there as possible, so that if folks are accessing this program, there's additional resources, but if you're not a part of the program, you can still access all these resources on healthy eating and how what you eat impacts your health. So yeah, check that out if you would like to learn more.
Great. Another question we have here is pharmacy available for someone privately insured or uninsured?
Yes, absolutely. Really, the criteria for entering into Mid-Ohio Pharmacy is that your doctor participates in the program, which you can see those listed there on our website or on the PowerPoint that we just did, and screening for food insecurity. So if you need food and you answer yes, I've worried that I'm going to run out of food, or I did run out of money to buy food, then that is your real path to enrollment into Mid-Ohio Pharmacy.
Okay. And another one we have here is this based on income eligibility?
Yes, that is definitely one of the things. So when you screen as food insecure and then you go to one of our agencies, they will ask if you are at usually 200% of the federal poverty level or less. And currently that's 230% of the poverty level or less with COVID. So even though income is not screened for at the physician's office, it is a requirement when a person comes to acquire food, but usually one is synonymous with the other.
Okay, great. Well, you guys have anything else you would like to share about a program here? Actually, it looks like we have one more. They're asking, can you post or share healthy recipes on your website that maybe have some more simple ingredients?
I'm going to let Jennifer take that one.
Yeah, so if you go to our website, which is, again, that's midohiopharmacy.com/resources would be the link here. On this last tab, you'll see healthy recipes, and there are, healthy recipes 101, and there's some information here generally about food, but then there's also different recipes that we have for folks. We can direct, there's actually, you'll see here, there's a link. Feeding America has a website where, they have lots of recipes. We try to keep our recipes as simple as we can. Few ingredients, few steps, just like we all like to cook that way, right? Like, let's make it easy. And using stuff that's pretty, most folks either have on hand or can easily access, not that are super complex. So you can go to the website, check out these that we have here, these recipes, and then also there's a link to more. And yeah, we will be posting more on Facebook. So check out the website every Friday for a new recipe. We've got some coming up. We know Thanksgiving is coming. and we're going to post some special stuff kind of themed around that meal. So stay tuned.
All right. Well, thank you guys. We appreciate it. Thank you for your time and just really helping share more information about Mid-Ohio Pharmacy.
Yes, no problem. Thanks,
Thanks,
Malik.
Malik.
All
Thanks,
right, thank
everybody.
you. All right, and next up, we are going to hear more about Mid-Ohio Kitchen. So in a few seconds here, we're going to hear from our Director of Prepared Foods, Shawana Presley. That's why I think you might be muted.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, awesome. So again, I am here just to share information about Mid-Ohio Kitchens. My name is Shawana Presley, and I am the Director of Prepared Meals. I'm just gonna share my screen. All right, one moment, technical difficulties. So under Mid-Ohio Kitchens, we operate the Southside Roots Cafe. At Reeb, we also have our Kids Cafe meal program, and we do catering as well. And I'm just gonna talk through all of those facets. And first, we're gonna talk about Mid-Ohio Kitchen at Roots. So Mid-Ohio Kitchen at Roots is our Pay What You Can cafe. We are open there Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. We have been open. We just celebrated our 5th year anniversary in that space at the Reeb Avenue Center. We serve on average about 150 lunches daily, and we offer a community meal on Tuesday night from 5 to 7, and we serve about 150 meals there during that time as well. The food bank's mission has always been to improve access to food for families in need. We also understand that what they consume is just as important as having a meal. And so in our meal service, we have a focus on food as health, and we prepare familiar home cooked meals, focus on healthier cooking methods without sacrificing flavor. So items like baked chicken instead of fried, substituting brown rice and whole grains for other starches, so like potatoes or corn. We like to use a lot of fresh veggies in the meals that we eat. This dish that is featured here is a jambalaya. So these are the type of meals that you can get when you come down to our Roots Cafe to have lunch. They are also made with love by our executive chef, Jay, and our kitchen manager, Ashina Klingscale. Right now, we are offering grab-and-go meal services in light of what has happened with COVID. We are providing grab-and-go meals. Our dining area is closed, but we do follow all of the recommended CDC guidelines in order to ensure that we are serving a safe meal for our participants and visitors. Next up, we have our Kids Cafe meal program. We offer, we serve healthy, balanced meals to children in our community. Again, the food bank focuses on a food as health model. We prepare these meals in compliance with USDA guidelines. We also introduce new and less familiar items to our neighborhood children's palate. So if they've never had barley, we try to make it in interesting, fun ways that they would like to eat it. So we have learned with kids that they eat with their eyes first. So we also try to ensure that when we are preparing these meals, it looks appetizing to encourage them to try it. So when we prepare these meals, especially those that they are less familiar with, we try to provide some education around those menu items and share the benefits in fun ways that also encourage the kids to want to try them or even include them in their daily diet. We are able to get these meals to our kids in our community. We're able to get these meals to the kids in our community through partnerships like daycare, schools, and other community organizations, some Boys and Girls sites, some other community after school at risk programs. And through these partnerships, we just build those relationships and are able to get these meals to those kids in need. We also, so Mid-Ohio Kitchens, we support programs like child and adult food care, after school at risk, national school lunch, and summer feeding programs. We cater, so with catering, so the Mid-Ohio Foodbank, we have all of these awesome programs. And one of the things that we do is try to offset some of the cost of providing these meals with revenue generated assets. And one of those is our catering meal service. So it is just a really fun, delicious, easy way to support your hungry neighbor. So if you are hosting a party or a corporate lunch or just want to provide a meal for your family or for an event, we are happy to host those events for you. And all of that revenue that is generated goes back into the program and helps us be able to provide more of those free meal services to our hungry neighbors and our kids. These are mouth-watering selections that fit any occasion. So we have a talented chef on hand, and he can work with you to talk about your event and really tailor it to fit your needs. We also offer a standard menu. So if you are doing something simple, just like a corporate lunch, or you have a conference that you want to provide breakfast or lunch for, we have some simple already pre-planned menu options that you can select from. But if you need something that is more niche, our chef can work with you to prepare that or to plan that out. It is a simple booking process. You can just visit our website at southsideroots.org and click on the cater link, and that will put you in touch with one of our staff members to help you plan your event. And we just want to ensure through the planning process, from the time that you book through the end of your event, that you'll have a magical customer experience. So that is the idea behind catering. And through our catering, you also have an opportunity to pay it forward if you would like to. Obviously, just like the rest of the world, our services changed and were impacted significantly during COVID. And so in response to that, we were committed to ensuring that that we continue to meet our customers' needs on the South Side, even though we had to close down our cafe and close down our dining space. We wanted to make sure that our neighbors still had access to meals. So we have transitioned our meal service to that grab and go model. So with the picture that you are seeing here, those are bags. So what we've done is we prepare these bags in the morning, and we put in just kind of some mise en place that people can have for snacks, just ensuring that they can have something to eat throughout the day. And these are accompanied by a main entree dish. And we have some phenomenal chefs, again, on staff that are preparing those meals daily. And right now we are featuring items such as pot roast with potatoes, just mashed potatoes, and like a turkey pot pie. It's just really hearty dishes that are good to your tummy and good to your soul. So stop by Southside Roots and pick up one of those grab and go meals. If you know a neighbor in need, please share our information and our address as a area where they can go to access meals Monday through Friday. We have partnered with other phenomenal community partners such as Community Shelter Board and Mount Carmel Street Medicine Team. In these partnerships, we have been able to expand our ability to provide prepared meals to our homeless neighbors. So we have, since partnering with Mount Carmel and Community Shelter Board, we have been able to distribute over 140,000 meals from March until now. With a lot of the changes, it was important that our homeless community sheltered in place, but it's hard to shelter in place if you have to go out and find a meal. So we have prepared meals in our kitchen, mobilized our meal service, and took those meals to those neighbors. So just having these hubs such as the YMCA site downtown, Mount Carmel Street Medicine Team, their team goes out and passes out these meals in the community. So these are just generating these access points for prepared meals. And we've continued to provide meals through innovative methods with our Kids Cafe. So we've had partners set up drive-through options. We have really tried to decrease the amount of time families have to come out the house and pick up those meals. So we've served multi-day meals. Some are shelf-stable and some are fresh. So what we did at one of our sites was we offered a hot meal on Monday and then a cold meal for Tuesday that they could take home and refrigerate and have for the next day. And with those two meals, they also got some breakfast items, so milk, cereal, fresh fruit. And then again, they come back on Wednesday, get another hot meal, a cold meal, and then a shelf-stable meal for Fridays. And then we also passed out weekend meal kits. So these kids during the pandemic were able to have meals for 7 days a week. So just trying to ensure again that they have access to meals, and then they weren't going days with missing a meal until we operated our next meal service. So this was really important for us to be able to continue to provide that meal service, ensure that our hungry neighbors, our homeless population, and our children had access to fresh prepared meals continuously. And we've partnered with some sites in other counties to provide these multi-day shelf day meal distributions as well to focus on those kids in those rural areas. You can check us out on the news and follow us on social media. This is, we were featured on an episode of Cam Around Town, just talking about all of the great work that is happening at Southside Roots, at REEB, and with our partners. So again, continuing to be innovative and being able to serve our community in these extraordinary times, just making sure that their needs are met. And so if you want to be involved in that, we are still offering volunteer opportunities at our Southside Roots Cafe at REEB. There are multiple volunteer opportunities that you can sign up for while you were there. So you can get cooking with the chef. So we always need help there, prepping meals, cutting, chopping, cooking. You can help us with the portioning and plating and the bagging of meals. So we have to unitize everything with COVID. We're not serving anything buffet style or family style, how we would have in the past. So we are unitizing everything to ensure the safety of all of our participants and guests that come through. So you can help us with just plating up these things individually, making sure we're preparing bags for everybody, putting all of the little goodies in the sacks and tying those up. You could also help with greeting our neighbors and distributing the meal. So once they're cooked, prepped, packed, and put in the bags, then we have to get those into the hands of our customers. So you can assist us with that. Also, we just always need someone to give smiles and kindness to our community members, especially during these extraordinary times. It is really important that they see smiling faces and that they receive kindness, because that smile that you share with them can change their day. And you also, when you get involved and you come to Southside Roots to volunteer, be ready to receive more smiles and kindness than you give, because our neighbors are just really amazing in that way, and they're always really grateful to have the help, but they offer their help as much as they receive it. So I think when you come down, this will just be volunteering is a magical experience as well, just because you receive so much back from those neighbors with the gratitude that they share for what you do. And that is all I have. I can take questions.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shawana. We have a few questions that have come in here. One of them is, how many meals do you cook each day among all your sites?
So it has changed in the last couple of weeks, but we have been able to prepare up to 3,000 meals a day. That's between breakfast, lunch, and snack, and distributed them to about 45 sites each day.
Okay, great. Another one we have is, do you serve public schools as well as private schools through Kids Cafe, and how does a school begin a partnership?
So the partnerships look a little bit different. So we do serve public and private schools. For public schools, we do focus mostly on after school at risk programming. And if you are interested in being a partner, you can email me. My email address is spresley, so that's SPRESSLEY at midohiofoodbank.org. And with smaller schools, so if we're not talking about large school districts that have their own meal programs, and maybe you're a smaller private school or a charter school, we can participate as a vendor through the National School Lunch Program, and you can reach out to me that same way to become a partner.
Great. We have another one here. Can you talk about the pricing on your catering menu?
So the pricing on our catering menu is pretty competitive. We just updated our menu, and we'll be posting a new menu on our website within the next couple of weeks. But it's pretty competitive in terms of like corporate lunches or box lunches. When you are talking about special events, and that's where the pricing can change a little bit depending on what the expectation or what the customer wants.
Okay, great. Seeing if we have any other questions here, just taking another look before we move on here. So I want to thank you for your time and joining us and just really helping explain all the programs that we have under Mid-Ohio Kitchen. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Oh, I have a question here. 1 second. Pull this one out. Do you serve hot or cold meals depending on the day of the week?
So we do, it differs a little bit. So during the summer months, we will incorporate cold meals with throughout the week. In the winter months, we do try to incorporate more of those warm meals. There's not a specific day of the week that we would serve a hot meal over a cold meal, but we do a mix of both.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you, Shawana. Thanks again for explaining those programs for us. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. And then up next, we have one more presentation here. This will be about our Mid-Ohio market. And this one will be presented by Brad Draper, who is our Senior Vice President of Operations focused on agency services. Brad, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Malik. It's great to be with everybody this afternoon. As Malik said, my name is Brad. I'm one of the Senior Vice Presidents of Operations here at the Food Bank, and I work with our agency partners across our 20 counties, as well as our SNAP outreach team, our orders and customer service team, and our on-site food distributions here at the Kroger Community Food Pantry. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about the Mid-Ohio markets. Let me share my screen here very quickly. Okay, you should be seeing a title slide right now. So the Mid-Ohio markets is a relatively new concept for us. Our first one opened in October of 2019. And the entire goal is to reimagine the food distribution process to ensure that our customers have the most dignified, most positive experiences that they can have, and that they have access to resources that they might need beyond the food itself. So a quick overview of what we're trying to accomplish. One is to improve customer experience and reduce stigma. Unfortunately, after all of these years, there is still stigma attached with going to a food pantry and asking for help. So we are certainly hoping that this Mid-Ohio market concept reduces that stigma, makes people feel comfortable coming to shop. You will not see the word pantry in any of the slides that I share with you. We also want to increase consistency across the community by having a common naming structure, Mid-Ohio Market at Columbus State, Mid-Ohio Market at Hart. We want to make sure that folks who may be in different communities, maybe they work in one community and live in another, know that they can get a consistent level of service, a consistent experience, consistent access to food across our entire footprint. We want to expand hours of operation. Each of these markets, when we open them, is expected to have a minimum number of hours of operation. Our goal is to get to about 40 hours per week at each one. We're not there yet. We are working on it. But we know that folks need access to food when they need to get it. We have Matt Habash, our CEO, often tells a story of talking to one of our customers who said, "I can't afford to shop at one of your food pantries." And when he asked her why, she said, "Well, the one by my house is only open when I'm working, and I can't afford to miss a day of work to go shop." So that's why it's so important to have those expanded hours of operation. We want to increase food distribution, particularly the healthy, fresh produce and other healthy, fresh foods that Amy and Jennifer were talking about in our Mid-Ohio Pharmacy program. And we want to increase the frequency of visit to improve those health outcomes, not just for the individual patient that was referred to us through the Mid-Ohio Pharmacy program, but for the entire family in that household. As Jennifer and Amy did an excellent job of presenting, we know that the more frequently somebody accesses healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables, the better their health outcomes, the better their body mass index, the better their HbA1c scores. We want to make sure we're doing our part to make that happen. So several years ago, we crunched data here at the food bank and developed 33 zones within Franklin County. These zones are delineated by lines between census tracts, which is why this map looks a little bit funky. But among these 33 zones, there were 15 that represented 84% of our services. And it creates the upside down T shape that you see on the slide. If you look at any map of any issue related to poverty in Franklin County, you will see this same basic shape, whether that's infant mortality, whether it's simply poverty rates, whether it's the redlining maps from many years ago. They all show this same basic shape, and this is where we really need to focus our Mid-Ohio market efforts. We're also looking at the other 19 counties in our footprint. When opportunities present themselves and the need becomes apparent, we are exploring the option of putting a market in those as well. So where are we today? The Mid-Ohio market at Columbus State, Columbus State Community College has been a longtime partner of the food bank. For years, they operated 3 produce markets each school year, at which they would serve 200 to 300 folks, mostly students, as well as some neighbors from the community at each event. They wanted to do more. The leadership of the college wanted to do more. The students were asking for more. So in October of 2019, we opened the Mid-Ohio Market. This building is actually a former grounds maintenance garage. The very first time I saw it, before any renovations were done, it was parked completely full with lawnmowers and gators and all kinds of lawn equipment. A few skylights, improved doors, improved windows, a big walk-in cooler, other refrigeration. All those steps later, we have a 3,900 square foot market that is serving both students and the community. That's a question that came up very early on in this conversation with Columbus State, was were they building this for the students or for the community? And Dr. Harrison, the president at Columbus State, was very clear that Columbus State is part of the community and the community is part of Columbus State, and the market was to serve both. This market was initially managed by faculty and administration members of Columbus State. In March, they hired a full-time manager. The COVID outbreak hit Central Ohio, his second week on the job, which is rather unfortunate, but he did a phenomenal job. And during the initial part of COVID, the only two places open on Columbus State's campus were basically the police department and the Mid-Ohio Market offering food. And I'm not sure whose idea it was. Somebody at Columbus State had a brilliant idea, as they provided Chromebooks and other technology to their students to facilitate their remote learning. They distributed that technology at the Mid-Ohio Market so that those same students could see the food resources that were also being made available to them. So it's been just a phenomenal partnership. And to share, if I can get it to switch slides, there we go. To share what has this meant, from October 2018 to the end of August 2019, there were 3 produce markets, and we served, as you can see, probably 500 or 600 households. That same time period this year with the market open, we've had folks visit the market 17,534 times through the end of August. I didn't figure out the percentage increase there, but it would be staggering. Unique households, you can also see a dramatic increase, as you would expect. And then children and seniors, with the dark green lines representing children and the light green lines representing seniors, 2 very special populations that we serve. I will tell you, Columbus State Community College right next door is a permanent supportive housing building for formerly homeless individuals. If you work a day at the market, you will see those folks come by. They may pick up 2 plums, a couple potatoes, a loaf of bread, something else, and that's going to be dinner that evening. And then they'll come back the next time the market's open to get dinner for that evening, which is exactly what we want to see. The Mid-Ohio Market at Hart, this is in Reynoldsburg on the east side of Franklin County. Hart was an existing partner of the food bank for many years, operated a traditional food pantry. When we first started having conversations with them about becoming a Mid-Ohio Market, they identified a space within the same commercial, it's not really a shopping center, but kind of commercial building that they were in previously. So this increase didn't really have to do with changing location. They have the same address, just a different suite number. They did expand, almost tripling their square footage and also tripling their hours. So they also increased their staffing and their presence in the community, and have been working very closely with the city of Reynoldsburg's leadership. So for the community in Reynoldsburg, again, this market opened in early November of 2019. You can see in the previous year, they served just over 5,200 household visits, and as a market, 35,329. Unique households also increased dramatically, as did both children and seniors. One thing that happened at Hart is, as we were having initial conversations, we thought the market concept would be successful. We thought our neighbors would appreciate the opportunity to shop for their food in the market, but we didn't really anticipate how much demand would increase. I think everybody's best guess was that we might see demand double. Instead, you can see it's 7 times what we did during that same window last year. So even though we just helped Hart move into the space and open in November, we're already having conversations about what's the next step and how do we find a bigger space so that we can do a better job of serving these families. The other thing that the market at Heart has demonstrated is the ability of the market concept to really serve the local community. Reynoldsburg is the Reynoldsburg contains the largest Nepalese Bhutanese community in the entire country. I believe it's the largest outside of Nepal and Bhutan. Earlier today, excuse me, I'm sorry. Earlier today, you saw a presentation from Dave and Katie about food sourcing and how we run the food bank. About a year and a half ago, we received several very large shipments of dried lentils. They were very difficult to move, but it turns out that lentils are a real staple in the Nepalese and Bhutanese diet, which is a very healthy diet. And the operations director at Heart asked, how can I get more lentils? Which we had never heard a single one of our partners say before. So we began shipping a pallet of lentils to them almost every week. And they moved through literally tons and tons of dried lentils for that very specific community that really wanted that healthy, nutritious food for their families. So we talked a little bit about the health impact, the importance of that, frequent access to healthy, fresh fruits and vegetables. And the way we look at that, there's health data that's reported to us, depersonalized back from the healthcare providers, showing reduced body mass index and HbA1cs and all that for folks who visit more frequently and get access to fresh produce. What we're looking at here is a chart demonstrating before and after access to this healthy, fresh food. You can see at Columbus State Community College during the same time last year, the average family visited 1.2 times compared to 4.1 times once we opened the market. At Heart, it went from 4.3 times all the way to 5.9 times just between November and the end of August. And keep in mind, there was a pandemic happening for a good chunk of that time. So we are very happy with the increased frequency that we're seeing in terms of customer visits. And that tells us that not only are we having an impact on the community's health, but we're also doing a great job of serving these neighbors because they're choosing to come back and see us again. I talked at the very beginning of this about making this customer-centric. Here are a few quotes that we've received from some surveys. This place is every bit of amazing. I've only been twice, each time different people, but sweet, nice spirits. I don't know who is behind this great idea, but may God rain blessings upon them. My kids and I went Wednesday night. The volunteers were so helpful. It was easy to walk through and choose what you would like. And my very favorite comment, it's my daughter's new favorite grocery store. That's exactly what we are going for with the Mid-Ohio market. This place is amazing. Everyone should visit this location. I come by almost every day to see what is new and just to walk around. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for the gift of food and of kindness. That's really what it's all about. And we know that we can't stand still. One, we have a lot more markets to open, and we will be working on that. I have a meeting every single day this week about opening new markets, and we certainly can't open them fast enough for our CEO and our board. But we also will be innovating within our existing markets. So right now we're looking at doing a test run with some locker access to food. These would be refrigerated lockers. So if you think about the Amazon locker concept with the refrigeration included, folks would get a code on their phone to access the food that they need when they can get there to get it after work, whenever it makes sense. We're also working on an app and an online system that would allow ordering, scheduling pickups, scheduling delivery, and providing referrals to wraparound services via this technology. And then looking at automated check-ins and automated checkouts. We really want to understand what food our customers really want. And the best way to do that is to measure what food they're choosing when they're presented with different choices. So if we can get to the point where we are truly checking out of a market, similar to how we all check out of grocery stores, then that will give us very valuable data in terms of what food we need to source, how do we stock the markets? How do we proactively send inventory their way that their customers want? With that, some of you may have seen this video as part of the farm presentation. I may narrate it a little bit differently, but as you saw that map of the various zones, there are 15 identified zones in Franklin County. In all likelihood, we will not end up with 15 markets because a strategically located market in the right place could serve folks from multiple zones. But we know that one market will be at our farm location on the hilltop. So I just want to walk through a rendering of what this might look like. And this is certainly a dream state market. This is a concept that was developed by a company that's helping us imagine what is possible at our Mid-Ohio farm site. But as you can see, the outside of the market is designed to blend into the neighborhood and fit seamlessly. And as you look to the right, you will see the lockers installed so that folks are here picking up their food. They happen to be picking it up while the market is open, but this would give them access to that food at any time, day or night. There's plenty of space outdoors for outdoor programming. Folks can sit down and have a cup of coffee, really feel comfortable in this space, really have conversation. And then as we go through the front door to begin our experience in the market itself. Oh, shoot, I hit the wrong button. Let me get us back to, sorry about that, folks. So I'll just stop here real quickly. You see to the left a welcome desk. So if you think about if you happen to shop at a Costco or a Sam's Club, when you go there and you sign up to be a member, you go to the customer service desk and you're given a card with your picture on it. That is basically your membership ID. So this would function in the same way, a customer service desk where folks can get questions answered, where they can sign up the very first time that they come through, all of those fun things. And then to the right, we have a welcome cafe space. This space could easily be converted into a demonstration kitchen to do classes on how to prepare that healthy, fresh produce, as well as just a community space for folks to gather and relax. One thing about the customers that we serve, poverty is extremely stressful. So we want to make this a welcoming environment where folks feel comfortable, where there is no stress to the shopping experience. As we walk through, you'll see here in just a second, we have a self check-in station. We are working with folks at the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services to talk about what would it look like if folks could scan in and sign themselves in for a shopping experience. And as soon as you sign yourself in, you enter this oasis of fresh produce where we would have as much selection as possible to give people as many choices as possible. You see the displays here that could display limits to each item. Say we want to have one watermelon per family to make sure that each family can get a watermelon, or possibly recipes or information about that product. Sometimes we get things in that we have to go look up what they are. Maybe it's a jicama from Latin America, or maybe some other kind of product that's kind of unique. And then we'll turn around here and you'll see the Mid-Ohio Pharmacy. So each of our market locations will be a Mid-Ohio Pharmacy site, which means that they will accept referrals from local healthcare professionals to access the market to get fresh fruits and vegetables. These areas, these kind of consultation rooms could also be utilized by our other wraparound services, such as SNAP enrollment, counselors, for helping people sign up for Medicaid. There could be any health screenings, any number of things that could be happening in there. And each market is going to look very different when it comes to wraparound services, because each community has different needs. And there are other organizations already doing great work in some of these areas, in some of those communities. So we want to make sure that what we're doing fits. So once you go through the produce here, then you enter the refrigeration section, which would have your meats, your dairies, your eggs, all that fun stuff, as well as your shelf stable shopping. And then plenty of space to check out and then take your food out to your car. And here again, the lockers, but you'll notice that we have a fair amount of space here for packing and checkout. We learned very quickly in both the Columbus State and the Mid-Ohio Market at Hart locations that we needed more space for bagging and preparing the food to go out to the car. So we are learning and making improvements as we go. And then as we move to the back of the house, we talked a little bit about innovative deliveries with the lockers, but we also want to do drive-through pickups. In fact, outside of this window will be a drive-through. Both of our market locations, as well as many of our more traditional partners, have migrated strictly to drive-through distributions because of COVID. In fact, we did that this morning here at the Kroger Community Food Pantry at the food bank. We expect that that will continue. We know that some customers will continue to prefer that method of distribution. We could also use this same area to stage deliveries of orders, deliveries done either via some type of technology, think a self-driving little robot thing in the immediate vicinity of the market to maybe folks who can't get out on their own, seniors, things like that, or volunteers who provide that delivery option. And then you never have enough room in the back of a location like this for storage and sorting and gleaning the produce and making sure that we get anything that isn't 100% attractive and all that for the customer cleaned out. So this is the Mid-Ohio Market at the Hilltop, at least a vision of what that would look like. And then if you were here for Bo and Chris's presentation, this would be the dome with the aquaponics on the farm. So I hope that, oops, we don't need to see it again. Let me click to the next slide. With that, I would be certainly happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Absolutely. Thank you for that presentation, Brad. We do have some questions here in the chat. One of them is, do I have to live by Columbus State to get food at the market?
Great question. So each of our partners sets their own kind of geographic service area. Columbus State, because their student population comes from throughout Central Ohio, they serve students from any zip code. So they are really open to anybody coming in who needs help, coming in to get food from wherever you're from. I know some folks from northern Delaware County who have made the trip to Columbus State. They had heard about it, wanted to see what it was like, and needed food. I don't think they go too often because the trip is rather lengthy, but they certainly enjoyed that experience.
Okay. Another question we have here for you is, will there be other markets, and if so, where?
Right. So absolutely, yes. I shared that map during the presentation with the 15 zones that we've identified as very high need zones with more food needs. We will be having markets that serve all of those zones. It's likely that there will not be a total of 15 markets because we may be able to serve multiple zones from a single location if we're able to identify the right space. But we are currently in the process of discussing going to look at real estate. I went and looked at a property yesterday. We're looking at real estate and talking with the partners, such as who will be the next Columbus State, who will be the next Hart, having those conversations to get those markets started. We're also looking at the other 19 counties that we serve. We think that in some cases we have a lot going on in a county. There's a lot of services already available, partners moving a whole bunch of food. And then we have other counties that we look at where, relative to the number of folks who are eligible, we could probably be moving more food. So we're working with those counties to identify, who would be a great partner and what might make sense. And so we're moving as quickly as we can on that, and it will never be quick enough.
All right. Another one is, how do you know which wraparound services are available at which markets?
That is a great question, and something that we probably need to do a better job at is advertising what wraparound services are available when and where. Each of our markets has its own Facebook page, its own website. And so they are in fact, they're posting things on there. I can tell you that we are personally, the Mid-Ohio Food Collective team is doing SNAP benefit outreach at each of the existing markets when they're open to walk-in traffic. So yes, we need to do a better job probably of advertising when those services are there. But quite honestly, we're bringing enough traffic through the door for the markets that traffic in and of itself is keeping the people providing the wraparound services pretty busy. So absolutely. I know out at the Mid-Ohio Market at Hart, before they were forced to switch to a drive-through model by COVID, they were doing weekly food distributions. They were doing many food distributions. They were doing weekly food demonstrations, how to cook food based on ingredients available in the market, that were conducted by the head chef at Mount Carmel East. And so the chef would come over, do the demonstration, and if the recipe required say some spices or something that maybe we didn't have available at that time in the market, they were providing spices to the folks who attended the demo so that they could go home and make what they saw. So we definitely need to do more advertising about when those services are available and what's happening.
Sure. Then we have another question here is can you tell us more about wraparound services, or what is a wraparound service?
So a wraparound service. So basically, food is the entree. We know that hunger and food insecurity it's never an issue in isolation for a family or for a household or an individual. It's most often a symptom of poverty. So there are often and frankly almost always other services, other needs that would be helpful for that family. The qualification level to shop at one of our locations, traditionally that qualification level has been 200% of the federal poverty level. During COVID, we received a waiver from the United States Department of Agriculture and ODJFS, the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, to raise that threshold to 230% so that we could have more families be eligible for services if they needed the help. The eligibility threshold for SNAP, or what used to be known as food stamps, is 130% of the federal poverty level. So there is a gap in there, but we know that a lot of the folks visiting our sites are eligible for SNAP, may not know how to apply for SNAP, or may have fallen into poverty or fallen into this situation for the very first time and not really know what the next step is to avail themselves of the benefits and the resources available to help them have a better situation. On any given day in normal times, 10 to 15% of our customers will have never been to that location before, not necessarily new to our whole system, but new to that location. And so it's always an opportunity to talk to folks who may not know how things work, who may not know how the various systems that are there to support them can be accessed. During COVID, that number has gone through the roof. 25% of folks who are visiting any of the 600 plus partners across our 20 counties, 25% of those folks are brand new to our system and have never asked for help before. So having those wraparound services there is just absolutely critical. So I've used SNAP enrollment several times as an example. Other examples could include health screenings. It could include somebody there to talk about help available when it comes to housing and rental assistance. It could be any number of examples. Flu shots, blood glucose testing, all those types of things that frankly many of us take for granted may not be available to a household living in poverty.
Great. A few more for you, Brad. Will there be a market outside of Franklin County?
There will. I actually have a meeting outside Franklin County on Friday to talk about progress on a potential location. We are looking at that on a county by county basis. Each county is different in terms of its level of need and how many services are already existing there. And quite frankly, the number of hours of access for those services, how easy it is for folks to get to them. So we will certainly be exploring that on a county by county basis.
All right, Brad. Then the next question I see here is, when will the market at the farm be open?
ASAP. We have I forget which day it's scheduled, but in the next few days, we have a rather lengthy meeting with the architects who are designing it. So we are certainly at that stage of, working with those folks to design. You saw the concept drawings. Um, you can't really build a building and outfit a building from the concept drawings, but certainly by 2022, we will have, and hopefully early 2022, we will have a market open at the farm.
Okay. Another one we have here is, are you working with current food distributors with intel about expanded hours and these other ideas to help them meet community needs?
Sure, that's actually kind of our traditional work here at the food bank when it comes to agency services and agency partnerships. We go into communities. We have a whole team of folks, our agency relations managers, who all cover different geographies of our service area, as well as a senior hunger manager and a child hunger manager who work with partners who focus specifically on those populations. And they have conversations every single day with partners about what can we do to serve more people? Can we expand hours? Do we need more refrigeration so that we can get, more fresh, healthy food here? That's we kind of have two aspects to that part of our work. One is making sure that everybody's meeting all of the requirements around food safety and regulatory requirements and all that fun stuff. But the more fun part of those conversations is when we talk about capacity building and how do we help our partners do more. In specific response to COVID, we received a generous grant from our partners at Feeding America that gave us the ability to help out a few partners with increased refrigeration, with a truck. What did they need in order to get more food to serve more people? And so that's a very critical part of our work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brad. I believe that answers all the questions we've had come in. Thank you for sharing that information about our Mid-Ohio markets. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here today. Thank you.
Thank you. And then the close, we're going to bring back Marilyn Tomasi, kind of just close everything out for us.
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, well, we actually ended 15 minutes early, so that's a first. I want to thank all of you who stayed on this call. It was a long call, but we were so excited to be able to actually share our work. For all of us here at Mid-Ohio Food Collective, this is such a privilege to do this work, and we couldn't do it without all of the volunteers and the advocates and the donors who help us advance our strategic plan every single day. I want to leave you with a quick story, and I think it will let you know how the customers we serve. We talked a lot today about stigma. We talked about, we want people to feel good and shop with dignity. We did have a 14-year-old who came into a food pantry, was shopping with her mother. This, of course, is pre-COVID. We had gotten some fresh peaches from a farmer that day. The 14-year-old was offered a fresh peach while she was helping her mother shop. She very politely said, "No, thank you," and stated, "It's not my day to eat." So this really speaks to the diversity of customers we serve. Here was a family of 7, grandparents, 3 kids, 2 parents. Dad worked a full and part-time job. And it speaks to how families are navigating their journey, whether, they're working, and most of those we serve are working, but it can be a very tough road to hoe. So we really want to be here to be with our neighbors when they need us. So hopefully now you have a little better understanding of why we are collective in the Mid-Ohio Food Collective, holding all of our assets: Mid-Ohio Foodbank, Mid-Ohio Farm on the Hilltop, Mid-Ohio Pharmacy, Mid-Ohio Kitchen, and Mid-Ohio Markets. And please go to our website, midohiofoodbank.org, to learn more. Thank you for engaging today.